our new pediatric ER, which is finally being renovated after many years of the place being run down, old, and too small. We have a new gorgeous labor and delivery unit. We have 10 rooms here, beautifully designed, beautifully decorated, beautifully equipped. We can give a state-of-the-art medicine and state-of-the-art obstetrics, but in a very homey, natural birth environment, so we can adapt to all women's wishes. The first stage of the new campus at Mount Scopus is being built as we speak. The new rehabilitation center at Mount Scopus, the largest one in Israel, is at the foundation level, and we're very excited to follow this project as it turns into reality. And these are exciting times generally for Haddasah, not only at Mount Scopus, because there are so many exciting projects happening at our sister campus at Ein Kerem too.
The setup that we have here is the state-of-the-art room. You can see behind me biplane angiographer. That is the big machine that you can see. This machine allows me to see very small vessels and to correct them with the newest technologies.
The cath lab at Mount Scopus is part of the whole cardiac cath lab unit of Haddasah, and we work together. The two units are connected by modern multimedia facilities that allow for the staff on both campuses to see what their colleagues are doing while the procedures are happening. We recently extended the pediatric intensive care unit in the Davidson Tower at Ein Kerem to allow for a specific cardiac unit that treats children with cardiac malformations and diseases.
Pediatric cardiac ICUs are relatively new in Israel. There are only 3 of them, and I think this is a big step forward for Haddasah in improving the care of our cardiac patients.
The new vascular surgery department at the Davidson Tower at Ein Kerem was recently opened with beautiful state-of-the-art technology allowing for treatments better than anywhere else in the state of Israel.
We stand here at the construction site in the round building in Haddasah and Kawan. We are going to expand our intensive care unit. Right now we have 9 beds. We are going to expand to 16 and be able to give much better service and treatment. The new round building is going to put the internal medicine department well into the 21st century.
Haddasah is growing from a hospital that had 1,200 beds to a hospital that will probably have 2,000 beds.
So many projects turning into reality at once make me think of Henrietta Salt herself, who said, "Dare to dream, and when you dream, dream big." There's so many opportunities for each and every one of you to join us now at Haddasah in being part of us in this exciting era.
Okay, very exciting stuff. Next, I'd like to introduce our speaker, Michelle Hoffman, who comes to the topic of rebuilding your life without a partner from personal experience. Her husband passed away 4 years ago, turning Michelle's life upside down and leaving her solely responsible for 2 young children. As a widow, Michelle had no guide, no roadmap of how to rebuild her own life while also caring for her family. Her experience led Michelle to help others by creating the guide she wished that she had had, including practical life lessons applicable to anyone suddenly having to live life on their own. And evidently many agreed. Michelle's book, Life Worth Living, was just published a few months ago and quickly became an Amazon bestseller. In addition to writing the guide for the unexpectedly single, Michelle has also adapted her professional career as a business consultant to coaching individuals and families in restabilizing their lives after loss to live a full and a happy life. We are delighted to have Michelle present to us today. Just a couple of logistics before I turn everything over to Michelle. Number one, you might all want to have a pen and paper available for some notes. As was mentioned on the flyer for this event, Michelle has very graciously offered an electronic copy of her book free of charge to everyone registered for this talk. For anyone who's interested in getting an e-copy, at the end of this talk, Michelle will guide you in how to download a copy from her website. Hard copies, however, are available through Amazon. There's a lot of material to cover tonight, so if you have questions during the talk, we just wait. Michelle is going to pause at 2 points in the talk, and then we will take questions. If you want to type them in the chat box, go ahead. But Michelle has said she's okay with we'll have an open discussion when she pauses. So I'm going to mute everybody for now, so Michelle can get started, and we'll unmute when Michelle says it's time to pause. So okay, without further ado, the moment is here. Over to Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Julia. And thank you, Leslie, and thank you, Haddasah, for inviting me to be one part of the Haddasah Women's Group, and also to share my story and how I made the decision to help other people through my own life experience. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited you're here. And it's really the whole mission of this presentation, I think, was summed up beautifully in Henrietta's quote, because it's like, if you're somebody who for a long time has wanted to take action and to create or rebuild the way you feel and live your one precious life, dare to dream. And when you dream, dream big. Was that the quote that they were saying? And it's so valid, because sometimes we're living our life and we're wondering, what's that missing step? Whether we've gone through some change in life, moving to a new community, whether we're moving through grief through the loss of a loved one, whether we have chosen to be single or we've gone through a divorce. If life isn't the way you planned it, where do you get that energy and the enthusiasm to figure out what are those steps to take? And you're wondering, what's the secret? What is it that those people on the beach holding hands have that you don't have? And what is it that is making it so that they know what to do? And if you're wondering, maybe you've heard that it's, like they just got lucky. And some people have enough stability in their life that they can afford to be happy and carefree. And maybe it's just that they've got, they had everything in place and they had the plan that they could then implement. Is everybody seeing my screen here? Okay, great. Because in the next few minutes, you may learn the secret that will change your life forever. You may learn how to prevent a life of grief and struggle, and learn how to move through trauma. You may learn how to get through the misery that you might be stuck in to live your best life now. I would like to introduce you to a couple of people. Oh, I'm not able to, there we go. I would like to play a game with you if we can figure this out here. All right. Let's try that again. Okay. We want to go from the top. So I'm wondering if you'd like to play a game with me. And this is why I was talking about maybe you might want to have a pen and paper. And all you need to do is keep count of something. And I have a couple of exercises for us to go through. And I will pause at some point. So if you've got questions, and you're welcome to bring in your personal questions. We can create a safe space. Or you can share general questions, whatever you'd like, because the whole idea of this is for me to help customize you to find how you can dare to dream that big dream. And I love this picture of the Game of Life game that we used to play as kids, the full 3D action game, because isn't life a full 3D action game? And this particular cover has Art Linkletter saying, "I heartily endorse this family game." And we all know that life really is a family game. So here's how we're going to play. It's a super easy game. What I'd like to know, as I introduce the following 4 people, one, can you guess which one is me? And then also, do any of these people sound like you or someone you know? So we'll start with Barbara. Barbara came to me and she said, I don't have purpose. And if you ever feel like you don't have purpose, give yourself a point. If you ever feel disconnected from your community or your family or the things that you used to love, give yourself a point. If sometimes you feel depressed and you're wondering what to do next, give yourself a point. If you're feeling lonely, give yourself a point. If you feel burnt out, if you feel like, you know, I used to be able to have the energy to do things and I just simply don't anymore, give yourself a point. Or if you're feeling hopeless, that you don't know what the future looks like, you give yourself a point. Okay, now I'll introduce you to Elizabeth. When Elizabeth came to me, she was saying, when I'm busy taking care of everyone and everything, who is taking care of me? Elizabeth had moved to a new community. She had some health issues. She had 2 kids, and she just was living in this brain fog. And she was saying, I'm feeling like I'm not enough. So if you ever have felt like you're not enough, give yourself a point. Elizabeth was saying she has difficulty making decisions, and not just the big life decisions, but how to make the little decisions as well. She was feeling fearful. She was feeling fearful for her health, the health of her children, and the future of for her children. Give yourself a point if you feel fearful sometimes. Elizabeth was feeling stuck. She felt like she had her feet in cement, and no matter how hard she was running on that treadmill, she just felt like she wasn't getting anywhere that she wanted to go. If sometimes you feel like that, give yourself a point. And as a result, she just felt lost in her life, like she didn't know what to do next. Then there's David. David came to me saying, how can I be everything to everyone? David's wife had passed away. They didn't have a will in place. They had not determined the beneficiaries. They didn't have health directives. He was heartbroken because there were so many losses in addition to the loss of his wife. He was wondering, is there any way to escape this situation? And he knew that he wanted to make sure that he wasn't trying escapes that would be risky or dangerous. He was worried. He was worried for himself. He was worried for his future. He was worried for his kids. He was worried about his job. Was he able to keep his job? So give yourself a point if you sometimes feel heartbroken. Give yourself a point if sometimes you would like an escape route, but you don't know how to take it. Give yourself a point if you feel worried, worried for yourself, worried for kids, worried for income. Then there was Michelle. Okay, so I think you're going to be able to guess which one's me. I made it easy. Some games we can make easy. I was wishing for clear directions to success. I became a widow. I suddenly was put in the situation where I needed to figure out how to grieve in a healthy way so that I could be the head of household. So if you've lost someone close to you, or a situation, or you've lost who you used to be, give yourself a point for desiring to grieve in a healthy way, which is why you showed up, so good job. If you're the head of your household, give yourself a point. If you are the person who cares for other people, if you have dependents, give yourself a point. And if sometimes you just wish somebody would project manage and prioritize things for you and it's all overwhelming, give yourself a point. And if you just are concerned and feeling uncertain about things, give yourself a point. Okay, let's tally up the points. And I'm curious if you can put them in the chat. I'm curious to see what people have as their points. And there are 20 points possible. If you had 1 to 4 points, let's help you rebuild your life worth living. If your score was somewhere between 4 and 8, pay attention. We probably need to talk. And if you scored more points than that, definitely listen up, pay attention, and listen for what could go wrong. So I can't get to the chat. Are there any, we can take a brief pause and just, if I click on anything, then I stop sharing with you. So does somebody want to tell me where we were at in points?
Let me. I'm asking, I'm terribly sorry. I'm so bad with names.
We had Barbara and we've got Jacob. Yeah. How did you say your name?
Can you unmute yourself, Jacob?
Can we unmute her?
There does not appear to be.
Oh, okay.
There. Good to hear your
Yeah.
voice. Welcome. How many points did you get?
I didn't really write any points because I think that I'm in a totally different place yet. I was widowed only less than 2 months ago, and I think that I'm still a little bit, how would I say, in a shock situation. But a few of the things didn't relate to me. So, yeah.
So congratulations for being here, especially 2 months out.
Well, my daughter wanted me to be here.
Awesome. That's good love right there. That's good love. And it's interesting because you might be feeling at this point, I wonder, do you kind of feel numb or you're just still looking out of the corner of your eye, looking for him, or maybe, you know, disbelief, has it even set in that he's not showing up again?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's very true. And that's a very normal place to be at this point in the process. Being here, so thank you for your daughter, is also the right place to be because you're asking, how do I move through this and remain stable? How do I remain confident? And how do I establish my own independence on my own 2 feet so that I can continue to dare to dream? And when you dream, dream big, because you still have that. One of the things I was saying was there's more to life than just being the one who didn't die. And there is still a full lifetime for you. So remember that when you wake up in the morning and you're wondering, should I get out of bed? Yeah, there's things for you to do. So that's actually helpful for me because now I can like race through the parts of this presentation that don't apply so much and give you time so that we can make sure that this time that we're sharing is perfect for you. Barbara, I don't see you on my screen, but is
Yeah, I don't either. I wonder if she
you drop off?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jakob. How do you say your name, Jakob?
My last name is Jacobs. My first name is Nurit, but since I'm on,
it's my I don't know. It's the last 5 letters of my old maiden last name and first 2 letters. My name is Karen.
Okay, totally fine. Thank you. Welcome. Glad you're here, Karen. So Lorit, is that how you say your name?
My name Nurit.
Lurit.
Nurit with an N.
Nurit.
With an N, yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's keep going. So here's a little bit of the background of my story. Imagine I had become a widow and I went through the grieving process, Nurit, just like you are doing. And, you know, actually one of the things I did, now that I know where you're at, is I made a decision for myself, and you can choose this one or you might choose another one, to do one thing to make sure that I had a reason to get up every day. And one of the things that I did, I wasn't really a big bed maker in the past, but I would make my bed when I got out of it so that I wouldn't get right back in it. So that's a little tip at the earlier stages of things, because, and I work with people who are at the early stage in the whole process of loss. And what I hear back, I had a client recently call me and she was thanking me. She was saying that her son was so impressed at how quickly she had moved through the hard part of grief, and that she was restabilizing and really taking action to live a full life. And he, they were still honoring his father, and all of that was real, and it was just done in a beautiful and healthy way, so much so that her son was complimenting her, and he was really proud of her, and she circled back to share that with me. That's what makes it all worth it for me. So here I am. I had restabled my kids and my life, and imagine I get the call that one of my high school buddies had gone out for a run, and I used to go running with him, and he had a heart attack and died. And I thought, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And then I realized, oh my God, I actually do know what to do, because I had just been through this. So I went to his widow and I said, this is never going to be okay. I'm going to hold your hand and walk this journey with you. Let's project manage this thing. And all the mourners in the living room were like, phew, somebody who knows what she's doing is taking the lead. And so that's how this whole thing got started. Because imagine, she was only planning dinner and she gets this phone call, and suddenly her whole life, her whole landscape had changed, and she needed to figure out how to navigate a new life. So I went through the process with her, and what happened was, again, she had moved through this. Not that it's ever going to be okay. It's never going to be okay. You connected with someone in such a beautiful way. Well, the majority of the people who come to me have connected with their partner in a beautiful way. There are bereaved widows, and then there's the category of relieved widows. Regardless, everybody needs to rebuild life again. So what had happened was the people in my community started sending me out to people. Oh, this person has lost a spouse. Oh, this person has lost a parent. Oh my God, this person has lost a child. Oh, this is an impending loss. Oh my God, this person's going through a divorce. Can you go help them? And as Julia was saying in my introduction, thank you, there was no guide for me. They said, get 10 copies of the death certificate and speak to your religious leader. And I thought, that's really not an action plan. So I wrote the book on it. And because you and your family are valued and valuable and have a life worth living, I spent the time, I wrote the book. Much to my surprise, it became a #1 international bestseller. It's in 12 countries. I was picked up by a publisher. I was suddenly doing red carpet events. And as somebody pointed out to me today, they're so happy for me, but then they're also so sad because of what initiated the writing of this story. I now have the ebook. There's an audiobook if you don't care to read. There's an audiobook available on Amazon, just as the paperback. I've been doing book signings, interviews. My European book tour got canceled due to the pandemic, but who knew this was going to happen? And my question to you is this: how much longer will you wait? And people wait too long. Nurit, your daughter loves you so much that she encouraged you to get onto this call and be present, because she doesn't want you to get stuck in grief. So the question really is, how much longer will you wait to take control of your life? So would you like to know some of the outcomes from the people I introduced you to? First, we started with Barbara. Barbara said to me, you help me project manage and prioritize the important things in my life and put everything in the right position. She found her purpose. That's what she was looking for. She was looking for her purpose now that she wasn't a partner and she wasn't a parent anymore. And her new purpose was at the intersection of her passion, skill, and her earning potential. She was amazed at her ability to take her previous skills and create a whole new community and a whole new reason for living every single day. And as a result, she became independent. She has unblocked potential, and it's energizing her so much both financially, emotionally, and physically. Then I introduced you to Elizabeth. Elizabeth's now saying, I can take care of my kids and myself after this big health issue that she went through. She says, Michelle, thank you for getting me stabilized enough through a health situation to even begin making quality life decisions. I know I lived through it, but it was kind of a fog. You helped me to help parent my kids and put things in place so they will be positioned well. Now Elizabeth's feeling confident. She's got her life plan in place with simple steps to take so it's not overwhelming. Her kids are secured. She's got new purpose, and actually she's now helping others get through it. Then there was David. I'm so excited to bring David up again. David was saying, how can I be everything to everyone? How can I be everywhere? He was worried about his job and his kids. And now he's saying, my family is balanced and whole again. He says, your hindsight gives me foresight. And the beautiful thing that I'm so excited to share, it was literally a year ago that David and I started working together, and he just got married last weekend, remarried. So, I mean, he found the right person again, is what we call the chapter 2. And he's got lasting love that lasts. The kids have an advisory board, and I'll share with you later what that means. He's reset his priorities. He feels fulfilled and calm. And for me, I now get to be the competent guide for others. I have, where I was feeling uncertain about things, I have a clear, well-lit path. I know where I'm going. The kids are thriving, they're stabilized, they're inspired. This is at my daughter's bat mitzvah, and I'll introduce you to her again later when she was very small. And I have a life worth living, and every day is exciting. How did we get there? How we got there was 7 steps to rebuilding your life without a partner. And in reality, it's 7 steps to stabilizing your life regardless of the situation. And I'm happy to share with you that at the top, the goal is fun. Fun and diversion, because this is the laughter, the moments that we, those pearls of joy that we share so much in life, the connectedness, that's what it's all about. But to get to the fun, we need to provide a platform of stability. And oftentimes what's required to get there is purpose, career, contribution to society and the community, and the revenue to make sure that we have enough money to do that. And to do that, oftentimes, especially after a major change in life, relationships are what I call recalibrated. And sometimes you have new people who come in and take care of you more, especially at the beginning of a big change. So Nurit, I was surprised when my late husband became ill. There were some people who were like, I'm backing out of this. And there were some people who surprised me by really leaning in. And so that's what I mean by recalibrating relationships. Some people were like looking to me and they were disappointed because I wasn't him. And some people now see me as an individual, and they've only met me as an individual. So they see me as a whole person, not the half that's missing a piece. So how do you make those adjustments so that you are always the whole individual? Then there's health and self-care, and we all know that when that's in place, it makes everything else more joyful. And to do that, it's also important to protect what's valuable to you, both the practical and the compassionate side of things. So, and I'll go into a little bit, I'm going to keep it high level, but I'll go into depth in each of these in just a moment. And then developing your advisory board so that you have people to access when you need them. All of this, all the way back up to fun, is based on a really strong platform of having everything in place to make decisions in a really healthy way. And when people come to me, I start with a confidence assessment, and this helps us project manage and prioritize what's important. So at this point, I'll take a pause. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, then I am very excited to share with you the 7 steps that I walk people through whenever they go through a change. And it could be, a developmental change when you become, when you invite someone in to be a partner, if you become a parent, if you become an empty nester, if you're a kid and you're going off to college, any point, or, if we lose someone, if we've gone through a traumatic experience, that's when it's time to go through the 7-step process again. In fact, this morning I woke up from a dream going, whew, I need to go through the process again. So the first step is deciding to move forward. That's the hardest step. And of course, making that decision is the biggest decision you can make. And Nurit, if you don't take anything else away from this entire presentation, this is what I'd like you to hear right here. Addressing grief in a healthy way is so vital. How do you do that? And here's how you do it. What you do is you need to adjust your relationship with grief so that you understand what grief holds and you can treasure that and honor that in a way that's appropriate to you. And I have all kinds of exercises and ways to do that so that grief doesn't have a hold on you so that you get stuck. So instead, you figure out what grief holds, you treasure that, and then you can actually invite grief to help you move forward in a healthy way. Got it? Any questions on that one? Because I actually think based on where you're at, this is the most important moment for you. So do you have any specific questions on that one? Not at this time.
No, not really.
Okay, I'm available to you if you need me, day or night, because sometimes you just need to know that somebody's there for you, and I will walk the journey with you. Oftentimes what happens is when you're going through this grief stage is we find ourselves feeling anxious. And so what is this? Anxiety is your body's response to stress. What is stress? Stress is pressure or tension. So it's an emotion that literally we feel in our physical self. So how do you get through anxiety? First, we have to go through grief and trauma and all these other things, and now we have to move through anxiety. It's this big responsibility we're now facing. Well, there's a mindset exercise, and if in a pause you want to hit a specific topic, I'm happy to walk you through, but at this moment, we'll just go high level and just show you that it is totally doable. Even I have helped people in like major spirals pull the energy together and figure out what's the fact, qualitative or quantifiable fact. What's your thought in response to that? Like one sentence only. And what emotion are you feeling as a result of that one fact? Then, what is your action that you're taking as a result of that? Or maybe it's your inaction. I was super happy just to stay in bed. And I was wondering, how long can I stay here? And it was more, eventually I came to, I would be like crying, soaking the pillow in a fetal position, and I'd roll over and do it again on the other side, lather, rinse, repeat. And I'm like, this just isn't serving anyone. So that was my inaction that I needed to adjust to figure out what is the outcome that what was the outcome I was experiencing? And then all you have to do is change one little, this is like magic, this sentence. Because using this equation, you just have to change one little thing, and it's amazing how it all changes so that you can get the outcome you'd like. All right, step 2, I realize I'm keeping it high level, is how to build an advisory board. Much like an organization has a board of directors, in my experience, I lost the one person who I went to for everything. So I needed to create a board of directors for myself. This is what I did. I figured out who my emotional champions are. Who can I rely on to support me emotionally? Who will always be on my side? And then there's the people who will challenge me to be my best and not rest on my laurels. So when you're developing, and I mean, we're going through this high level, but when you're realizing, I mean, you can think, it sounds like you've got a child who's a really good emotional support. That person is on your advisory board because she cares. So it's also important to note who's not on this list, who is sucking your energy and who is pulling you down instead of supporting you. So we go through and we itemize those people so we literally know who to go to for what. The next set of people on your advisory board are subject matter experts. These are the trusted mentors who help make decisions that are in your best interest. Educators, advisors. It might be your financial advisor. It might be your attorney. It might be the butcher. It might be the car mechanic. And it's important to know who to go to for what, because you wouldn't go to the car mechanic and ask for the best cut of meat. And it's important to remember that, because what happens is you start asking questions and some, wonderful mensch is giving all the good answers. And then at some point you keep asking questions that aren't in their core strength. So you need to make sure that the questions that you're asking are to the right person. And then it's also important to consider how much value and experience you've got in your life that you could also be a mentor to someone else. Super fulfilling. The last portion of the advisory board is your accountability and network partners. These are people who would help keep you on track. They're the people who are going to remind you what needs to get done by when. They may connect you with the next right thing, and they may even leverage their position to help you with yours. And if, the next right thing might be finding a new place to live, it might be, so then you get, find the right person to help you find that. I can think of a million things, but I want to make sure it applies to you. And most important and most valuable, gratitude grows in a forward motion. We all know that the ocean cannot thank the clouds that are dropping the rain that becomes the spring, that becomes the river and feeds the ocean. Instead, the ocean needs to feed forward. And so we can't thank backwards. We can just know that we can be on other people's advisory boards so that you do have skills and talent to help others. And again, like I said before, that's what's fulfilling. All right, let's take a break here and play another game. This game I call Large and Small. And I've done this game several times in different ways. And it's a physical game, but you can stay seated in this version of it. Sometimes I have people walking around and it makes it even more dramatic. So if you'd like to play with me, what we're going to do is find yourself stabilized in your chair and take a deep breath in and exhale. Just relax in. You can feel your feet on the floor. You can feel the stability of the ground supporting your feet. You can feel the stability and secured and groundedness of your chair supporting you. You're giving purpose to the chair is giving purpose to you. Take another deep breath in. Feel where the air is changing the temperature down as it comes in through your nose and down your throat. And feel where in your throat it's actually hitting. And exhale. Relax your jaw, relax your eyes, relax your mind. And exhale. So if your body allows this, if you'd like to play along, what I'd like you to do is get small. And getting small might mean curling up, bowing your head down, getting very, very tiny. And you can imagine how this exercise goes if you're walking around and getting small. So if you don't want to do anything else, just tip your head down. And what I invite you to do is either unmute yourself and share how you're feeling, or I can prompt you with experiences that people have shared with me through workshops in the past. But when your head is down, it's a little harder to breathe. In fact, your windpipe gets closed off. And if you look around and your head is down, your peripheral vision gets cut off. And you can see where your feet are, but you can't see where you're going. You can't see the future. And the emotions that tend to be attached to getting very small in a fetal position or curled up or even just head down is depressed or sad or unable to see the future. Okay, take a deep breath in, come back to center. And if your body allows it and you're willing to, let's get large as you can be. And now tip your head up and take your breath in. Feel here, your windpipe again is blocked. And here, what people tell me is they can see the future, but they can't see the present. And they're feeling a little dizzy because they can't see where they're going. And in fact, your peripheral vision gets cut off a bit because you can't see where your feet are, but you can see what's far ahead. And emotionally, people say they feel arrogant with their nose in the air and like people they don't really want to be. Now, come back to center, eyes about 2 inches above the horizon, and take a deep breath in. And exhale, release any tension that you might have in your shoulders or in your jaw. And realize here, where can you see? Can you see your peripheral vision? Can you see what's ahead of you? Can you basically get an idea of where your feet are at? Your windpipe open. So this here gives you the opportunity to have the largest scope with the most openness in your body. Anybody want to comment on that exercise? Okay. Did I hit some of the right adjectives? Awesome. I'm getting some head nods. Okay. Any questions at this point? All right, here we go. We're moving on to step 3. Step 3 is protecting what is valuable to you. And in step 3, it's really a lot of the practical stuff. It's making sure that you have your will and healthcare directives in place and your beneficiaries noted. I'm not an attorney, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an intimate partner. There's a whole bunch of things. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a lot of things. What I can do is provide you with resources so that you can open up the conversations that do need to be taken care of so that you don't get caught in risky or dangerous situations where you could lose your assets or your children or your family or everything you've worked for. So in addition to what's called, a traditional will, there's something called an ethical will. And one of the workshops that I do, that I offer, is creating a legacy of love. And it's a collection of future letters to your loved ones. And this was something that, we had time. It was unlike when my high school buddy went out for a run, had a heart attack and died. No one expected that. So he may not have had this in place, but there's no time like the present. We had time through my husband's cancer journey to sit down and write loving letters to the children. And I've literally made sort of templates for people to do the same, to act as prompts, if that's something that you would like to do. It's a super generous gift. My kids have letters from their father at every big life event, including graduating elementary school, junior high, high school, their bar and bat mitzvah, when they got their first kiss, when they got really mad at me, when they were going to college, when they thought, when their heart was broken the first time, when they found the right person to marry, when they had children. And there's even a letter for when I joined him. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. What a gift, what a gift. So that's an example of an ethical will. Step 4 is health and self-care. More than your life is in the weight at this point, because you're representing so much more than you used to. And we all know that health is the most important thing. And people would say, take care of yourself. And after a while, I was wondering, what does that actually mean? Well, my daughter, when she was very small and it was developmentally appropriate for her to have invisible friends, explained to me that she has two friends, good food and bad food. And good food teaches good manners, and good food teaches you how to act appropriately and to eat good, nourishing food. Bad food was mischievous, and bad food would get you into trouble and teach you to eat junk food and be naughty. And then my daughter says to me, Mom, I only need to be a little stronger than bad food. And that's just it. The scientific research proves that willpower can be defined when given two choices, making the harder choice. So you really only need to be a little stronger than bad food. And I mean, it's a fun way to give that example of how to make the right choices for you so that you are taking care of yourself. And that definition changes. Sometimes what would normally be, good foods recommendations, sometimes you need to talk to bad food to just indulge a bit. The other piece of this is that we are all being faced with so much stress. And being better at responding to stress may save your life. There's the physiological response to stress, and if you can change your attitude towards stress, the studies have shown that then will create a scenario where your brain and body will become stronger as a result of the stress. Stress makes you social in this situation when you expect what stress does to yourself physically. Your pituitary gland pumps out this cuddle drug called oxytocin, which strengthens your heart. It acts as an anti-inflammatory. It helps keeps your blood vessels relaxed during stressful situations. And I'm going to show you a real example of one in a very fun way. And it actually helps your heart cells regenerate and heal from any stress-induced damage. And I've got a very good colleague, Dr. Anna Dorsey, who's actually a local licensed psychologist. And he was saying, how do you make the leap from anxiety to courage? And one trick that he uses is to ask yourself, what would your hero do? And that gives you a chance to think about it from a different perspective. There's the serenity prayer of knowing what you do have control over and what you have influence over versus what you don't. Sometimes we put together a gratitude playlist to remind us of what's good in life. Comedy, just remembering the value of laughter. It fills your life with these sparkly bubbles. And then also, again, most important, and this is one of the cautionary tales, loneliness is not a choice. Being alone is. Even during this pandemic, we are not alone. We're not alone right now. There are ways to connect with people. Okay, this is one of my favorite things that I get to share with you. This is totally my privilege. This is my daughter. This is 45 seconds of the most important thing ever. And she wanted to ride her very first roller coaster and scream like a little girl, because that's what she heard happens on roller coasters. So here we are. My late husband has the camera in front of her, and and you can see my son behind her, and you can't see me on this, but I'm sitting behind. And what I want you to pay attention to is her excitement for this new phase in her life, and then what happens, and how you can literally see this brilliant little child, her inner voice is working with her, understanding that she's going to be okay. So here we go. You're gonna see how it happens. I'm on a roller coaster. I get to scream like a little girl. And she's excited for this new phase in her life. She can say, I can scream like a little girl. She's practicing. And then once we get to the peak of this, she realizes what this roller coaster is really doing. There's fear, there's trepidation. I love this thing. Poor thing has this loss of control. She's lost her sense of self. And now you can see her inner voice starts to direct the outcome. I'm safe. I intended to do this. It's going to be good. That was fun. So she was prepared for the stress. So no matter what life throws at you, it's important to know, are you a person? Do your palms sweat? Does your heart start to race? If you know when those things are happening, that it's your body's ability to prepare you to get through a difficult time, you will be stronger. And that's how you build resilience. And especially at this point, Nurit, I know this is so important for you to hear. Listen to what's going on with your body and your emotions, and know that these are the right things to send you in the right direction to move you through grief in a healthy way. All right, number 5, developing different relationships. It's like you didn't ask for this, and suddenly everything changes. Your whole life has changed. And then people change. What's that about? How is this possible? The reality is this, and hear me when I say this with the kindest thoughts in my heart. People say the wrong things because their heart's in the right place, but they don't know what to say. Their heart's in the right place, but they don't always know what to do. It's actually your responsibility to set the tone for how you would like people to respond to you. And if you can realize that everybody wants goodwill toward you, you will also realize that's the gift that they are sharing. And then you can share with them, what do you need and what is help that's not helpful? Because they're really putting that energy forward. And there's something at the early stages of loss. It takes like a superpower ninja skill to figure this out. But if you can identify, and this is specifically to where you're at right now, people will want to be generous and they'll say, how can I help? And if you can figure out what is that person's abundance. And an example would be, I had a neighbor with a lemon tree. They have this in abundance. You could help by giving me lemons. That's an easy gift for them to give. I had a friend who had a lot of time on their hands. You could help me by helping me walk the dog. Thank you. Then I had people who were working full time and didn't have a moment to spare. Asking them to walk my dog was not going to be something that would be easy for them. But they were so happy to, when they were making dinner, make an extra dinner, or when they were getting takeout, bring extra takeout. So realizing someone's abundance, it's a super ninja skill on your part, I realize. But if you can figure out what their abundance is, then the quote that I came from this was, take what you need, not more than what you need. Give what you can, not more than what you have. So that's my secret sauce on that one. Recalibrating relationships. There's recalibrating relationships with yourself and realizing to be kind. It doesn't mean you have to be the superpowered person that you were before. And I mean, in my instance, I suddenly needed to be 2 people with 2 incomes and be at work and at home and at the school play. I couldn't be everywhere at once. And I could not possibly meet other people's expectations. And it's important not to change your behavior based on what you think other people might be thinking. Did you get it? So don't change your behavior based on what you think other people might think. You need to do what's right for you and your family right now. Then, what's in the best interest of your children? You've got a child, and in this case, your child is an adult, and really explaining in an age-appropriate way the facts of your situation and what plan you have in place is the best way to help people, not just children, but your community and your friends. Once you have a plan, let them know you've got a plan, because then they can take a breath and relax. And if you can give them you have lemons, can I get lemons from your tree assignments? They'll know how to help you because people want to help. There are 3 pillars of every strong relationship: communication, trust, and respect. And when I work one-on-one with people, we make sure that these are in strong triad. When people are more sophisticated, then, and if they're offering something, the 3 words that I share with my loved ones, with my kids, with my friends, sometimes it's like they're asking so many things and they're unloading. Sometimes I just ask, would you like me to listen, guide, or help? And I should probably write a book just on that, because the hardest part is doing what they ask of you. Some people just need to be heard. And I'll use my kids as an example. And when they say, just listen, Mom, I have to throw away the key and just listen and nod and demonstrate my active listening skills. If they at that point realize that talking it through on their own out loud to me wasn't enough, they'll say, okay, guide. This was one of my favorites because it means I get to share my value system and give suggestions. I know they're going to do whatever they're going to do anyway, but at least they know my input, which sets the tone. And if they do ask for help, they know I will help them in the best way that I can. Then there's the whole group of people that when they're ready, if you're ready, and it may be the case and it may not, ask themselves, I'm ready for a chapter 2. But how do I do this? Dating is different. The rules of engagement have changed. And for many people, it's how do I date as a parent with children? So in the case of David, this is David's quote. Thank you, Michelle. I love you. You reminded me I'm the key master to my own doors. And there are ways to do this and ways not to do this. All right, we're on number 6 of 7 steps, career and money. And this is all about surviving a return to community. And there are things that you need to figure out. And if the situation is that you've got passive income and you're set, all good. Where do you find that is another challenge. Or if there's an active income and you need to maintain your job, if you need to be onboarded back into the workplace, or you need to find a new job, there's different things to consider all along the way. And we finally arrived at fun and diversion to feel valued. We go through so many things to find those tips to enjoy life celebrations and milestones, which have now changed because traditions have changed. And the empty chair at the table may be both sweet and sad because we're reminded of times that have gone by. So how do you invite these celebrations and milestones in and invite grief at the table and have a cup of tea with it and say, where are you going to fit in this whole program? Do we keep things as they were and you stand on your own 2 feet in a new way? Do you adjust your traditions in such a way that you can be inspired in a whole new way? How do you find ways to feel fulfilled in yourself and bring laughter back in and bring joy back in, like little pearls in between all the other things in life? And how do you highlight those moments of, turning on the music and dancing in the kitchen while you're doing dishes? Maybe it's thinking about a journey you'd like to take when you're able to take it, a hot air balloon, and things that you used to enjoy doing might be different now, or you can experience them in a new way with a new community. So that's basically the steps that I walk people through. And what I'd like to share with you is, like in my book, Life Worth Living, a practical and compassionate guide to navigating widowhood and solo parenting, I share with you the story of Jennifer. And Jennifer is my friend's widow and how she pulled life together with the 2 children, and she suddenly needed to figure out a job. And she ultimately, what she did was she took her husband's business and she took over and she pulled it all together. But what happens when people think they can do it on their own and they wait until it's too late? So this slide has a picture of a bus because along my journey in this path, I met a bus driver who asked me, "Where were you when my sister needed you?" And I'm like, "I'm right here, I'm so right here." And her sister Evelyn lost her husband, and she did get a big insurance payout. And Evelyn had not previously experienced employment, so she didn't know different ways to get involved in her community or get a job or find purpose again in a whole new way. And as a result, she kept trying to make decisions that would fill this empty space in her heart. And so she was buying lavish cars and big expensive trips. And everywhere she went, she was really just running from herself. Well, in this effort, she totally neglected the children, and they were going through this too. And her son, of feeling so neglected and losing his father, and in many ways losing his mom, got involved in a group of kids that got involved in risky and dangerous behaviors. And what happened was he was so devastated by the whole scenario that he died by suicide. And his sister was feeling left completely alone. She turned 18 and decided to change her whole life. So as a result, Evelyn lost her husband, she lost her future, she lost the insurance payout, she lost her son, and in many ways, she lost her daughter. How much longer will you wait before you realize a little help is helpful? Remember, Barbara was depressed, burnt out, hopeless, and stuck. Elizabeth was feeling lonely, lost, and not enough. David was heartbroken, felt like there was no escape. He was worried. He was worried about his kids and work. And I needed to move through grief in a healthy way as the head of household and sole parent, confident with a clear and open, well-lit path. It's important to listen to these types of emotions. They are telling you something vital. If you're feeling sadness, if you're feeling anger, if you're feeling fearful, if you're feeling cheated, they're all clear signals. It's time to reach out for help. And here's how to do it. As I promised, and Julia had mentioned, that you are more than welcome to have a gifted copy of my book, Life Worth Living. And on this slide, you can either go to yourlifeworthliving.org, and this is basically what you'll see, or if you want to get super tricky, you can take your phone, open up your camera, and put it up to that QR code, and it'll prompt you right to yourlifeworthliving.org. There's the technology trick on that one. And I'm very, very happy to share this gift with you. I wrote it for you. Take the first step. Hit reset on this year. Reconnect with what's most important to you and create a new action plan to live the beautiful life you deserve starting now. And the best part is, I'll be your partner and we can make it happen together. And if what you'd like, in addition to the book, is to spend some one-on-one time with me, I'm super happy to share that time with you, no cost to you. But let's find out who's taking care of you while you take care of everyone and everything. And if you go to yourlifeworthliving.org and just scroll down on the right side, you'll see my little picture there with the button that says, I'm ready. And you'll see a screen like this, and you just put time on the calendar. I've actually opened up time on my calendar for the upcoming week, and you're welcome to time on my calendar. Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, are there any other questions that had come up?
Nothing in the chat box right now. Nurit, anything?
No, I just wanted to mention that my dog is sitting or lying on the floor here. And actually, when you said in the morning about getting up, I have no problem getting up. She needs to be walked, and 6:30 in the morning, we are up and running.
Beautiful. I even write about that. What's your dog's name?
Zula.
Zula.
I didn't give her the name. I adopted her when she was 5.
Oh, that's a good name.
But apparently the name does have she, I think, belonged to some Pakistani people before who gave her the name, but it happens that the name is a slang in Hebrew for a corner that you can relax in.
Oh, well, that's an excellent.
It's my relaxation.
Yep, perfect compassion friend.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I write about, about that in my book, about is a dog appropriate for you? Our story on that, we didn't have a Zula. The kids wanted to get a dog that was just like the dog their dad chose. I'm like, oh my God, this was like a rare situation and an unusual.
Oops.
Something froze.
Yeah, we'll get her back in a second.
There
you go, Michelle.
Okay, am I here? Okay, yeah. So they wanted a liver and white, a brown and white Dalmatian. And they're very hard to find. It took me 2 years to find the dog. But what happened when the dog came in was brilliant. One, I didn't realize I had lost my laugh until the dog came in, and the laughter showed up in the house again with all three of us laughing at the dog. The other thing that was missing in our lives was touch. And I didn't realize it, but the only touch that I was receiving were these compassionate, sad hugs. And one day we were up the court and having, a conversation with a neighbor. One of the neighbors very appropriately put his hand on my shoulder, and I went, and it made me realize I've not been touched in so long. And so when we got the dog, we were all petting the dog. And so the dog, Zula is important to pet that dog. So you've got touch and laughter and joy and companionship. Mm-hmm. And it also reminded me that, when your dad dies, what you need is your mom to hug you and hold you. And so that reminded me to do that again. It also taught us responsibility, because having a pet around teaches kids responsibility. And Zula is a super good friend.
Great. I would have shown you. Can I show them? Zula, this is Karen, this is Zula here.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, what a kitty.
What a beautiful dog.
She is really beautiful. Yes, Zula, we are talking about you.
Yeah, she can hear. I think I had a picture of my dog at my daughter's bat mitzvah picture.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the family. Awesome. So what do you think? Was there any point in this that stood out for you or that resonated with you?
I'm Israeli, so I'll be honest. And I think that a lot of it didn't really relate to me at this stage for different reasons. But I always like to think that there is hope at the end. Actually, a neighbor of mine called me to express her condolences. Mm-hmm. And all she wanted to really say was that 3 years ago, her husband died, and she's still, every day she's crying, and she's miserable, and she's lonely. And then I got this, about an hour later, I got an email from a friend of mine, and she lost her husband 2 years ago. And she said, don't worry, life goes on, things will get better, And I said, wow, that's what I need. I need someone optimistic. So now I decided not to really talk too much to the neighbor who was such a downer. Right. And I had like an hour and a half conversation with my friend, and we are going to have more. But I have a lot of support people. My husband died, he had Parkinson. And with the Parkinson support group, now I'm the 5th person who is widowed. So we meet every other week for lunch. Right. And I have a lot of friends who really care about me. And not to mention, of course, my daughter and my granddaughters who are They live very close by, so they are there all the time. I mean, without them, I couldn't have gone through it. So I feel that I'm in a little different place. And of course, I'm at my age, I'm not looking to work or,
You don't need to.
some other things. Yeah. But I thank you very much.
Oh, it's certainly my pleasure. It sounds like you've done a lot of the things, a lot of the steps that are already in place, recalibrating relationships,
Mhm.
identifying who's not going to be a
Right.
support and who's going to be a
Exactly.
positive, emotional person on your support group and your advisory board.
Mhm.
And it sounds like you've got a lot of things that you've already put in place.
Right.
And you,
It's just that really, at first, everyone was asking me, "Oh, Nurit, how are you doing?" And I didn't know how to answer the question because
it's impossible.
if I say I'm doing fine, I thought they'll be disappointed. If I say if I say I'm doing not fine, they will feel so sorry. They won't know what to do. So actually, someone said, just say at the moment I'm okay, or at this moment I'm doing okay.
Right.
But there are moments. There are moments I'm okay, and there are moments I'm not okay. So
Absolutely true. The waves get further apart over time. And what you're saying to them is the right thing. I mean, you, depending on who's asking the question, how are you is like oh my God, I was like, please, nobody ask, how are you? And it's such a, an innocent question that we all ask each other.
right.
And you have to figure out, do you really want to know? Or do I just go, I'm fine, thanks. And, whatever it is. But I think being honest, like
Mhm.
you're doing, you're not disappointing. Remember, I was saying it's up to you to set the tone for other people and how you want them to treat you.
Mhm. Mhm.
So you can even say, I'm devastated, life will never be the same, and I'm standing on my own 2 feet, or something like that, to let them know that, yeah, it's never going to be okay. And you're doing what you need to be doing. Then remember the super ninja skill of, take care of yourself, or how can I help? It's really about is how they can help. The one friend who is a real friend has reached out to you. You've now joined the Widow Club. I'm sorry, it's a club that we never want anyone to join. And once
At least, it feels actually, yesterday we had our lunch together and I was very down yesterday and it really helped me talking to them because all know what I'm going through and they all went through that. So
Right.
it's really different.
And we don't want anyone to understand this kind of pain.
Right. Mhm.
And you can't understand it until you go through it. You simply can't.
That's true. Mhm.
It's true, and nobody believes that because they're like, oh, I'm compassionate. I have a colleague who's a psychologist, and when she was getting her undergrad, she was helping AIDS patients. And she was telling this story as she was working with this gentleman, and he was saying, little girl, there's no way you can understand what I'm going through. And she rebut him saying, I've got my degrees and I've got this and I've got all the education and the certifications and the diplomas to prove that I do. And now she's a widow and she was sharing this story and she's like, there was no way I could understand what he was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something we want anyone to understand because it's so deeply painful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's a unique situation, and we don't all come together and like wear jerseys in a big stadium and root for each other. And we're not easy to identify because we kind of want to hide, but we don't need to be. You don't need to be the wearing black, sad, and crying in the corner of the room. I'm trying to crash that image and say, we are people who can stand on our own and have full and happy lives with big dreams. Your life didn't end. Your life is still going. So robust.
Yeah.
And you're doing it. You're meeting with your friends. You're meeting with the group. You now are the leader in many ways of the Parkinson's group because you have experience they don't have. And learning how to help them through the 7 steps is a gift you can share.
Just to note, we can certainly keep chatting for a couple minutes, but we did say that we would go until 9 and it's 8:55. So we've got about 5 more minutes if you have some other questions, Nuri, but just FYI.
I think our timing went smooth, Julia. Good work.
Yes, I think it did. Nuri, do you have any other questions in the time we have left?
No, I think I'm fine. Yeah, thank you.
Well, then I would like to thank Michelle very much for taking the time to give this presentation. Frankly, I found it very useful. My husband, thank God, is alive and well. He's the cartoon image that you see there, Nuri. He was helping with some of the tech backup. But my mom is getting on, and with dementia, I feel like I'm losing her very, very slowly. And I think that frankly, a lot of the grief techniques that you mentioned, Michelle, are also relevant because in a way, I've lost most of her already because of the dementia. But I think what you've described is helpful for that situation as well.
Brilliant. I call what you're doing pre-grieving. I know in our situation, my husband was comforting me for his loss. It's like, there's no word for that in the English language. But I strongly encourage you to do the difficult things and talk about the will and talk about the beneficiaries and get that stuff in place now while she's—
Oh, that's all done. We're all okay with that.
I'm like the first person. The trust advisors should be like hiring me constantly. And if there's an ethical will, I don't know if she's present enough to share the stories and her good wishes, to get it either on voice or video. You never know when you might look back at that later and just be touched in a really, really nice way.
That's true.
And also with your husband, put those things together for each other. It's the greatest gift you can imagine. And you can't imagine it. You can't imagine it. I don't wish it on anyone.
Well, thank you very much. It's been super helpful. Oh, sorry, Leslie, go ahead.
That's all right. I want to say thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity, Leslie.
I watched my mother go through the grief of losing my father when she was very young, and she did not have your 7 steps, and it was very difficult.
Yeah. I mean, share this story widely. I put it together as my heart gift to the world because, there's just, how do you have that clear, well-lit path so you don't go, oh, I'm supposed to do this. Oh, I need to suddenly update my cell phone plan. No, you don't. That is not the most important thing. And I'm sure there were vastly different issues that she was facing when you lost your father. I'm very sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's impossible to figure it out. How can you be everything to everyone all at once? It is a difficult journey, and knowing that there's someone who will walk through it with you is really life-changing and supportive. And it's been, oh my God, I love the people who come to me, and my clients just astound me with their ability to rebuild life in ways that are just tremendously beautiful. Like I said, I've changed the names, but David just got married to the right person. He was dating the wrong person when he came to me. There were risky and dangerous behaviors that once he had a plan in place were not important. Elizabeth has 5 kids, and she was going through this big health situation, and it's like, she says, I just need someone to look up the contraindications of these meds. I can't make decisions. And, and then, her kids are just brilliant and interesting. 2 of my clients are dating right now, and I get to be part of that to help them move from chemistry to casual to committed. It's super exciting to watch the journey and be present, and also let them know, I call it bumper bowling, where from my experience with all these people, and of course my own, to put up the bumpers and make sure that they're being guided down the alley in the right direction, which I wish I had those 7 steps for your mom. and to avoid the pitfalls and the obstacles so they don't get caught in these scenarios that none of us think we will get caught in, but sometimes we do. So thank you for sharing your stories with me too. And if there's anyone who you feel may benefit from this, please extend the welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.